In this video, I'm going to address tenaciousness, decency, and honesty. Now, to be tenacious, it's that ability that we have to hold on when everything around us is crumbling. That ability that tells us, just hold on for another week, just hold on for another month. So then you will change, because we often give up, we will often self-sacrifice and self-sabotage ourselves when we are very, very close to our end goal. That is exactly when we need to be very, very tenacious. Now, is tenacity always a good trait? To answer that, I'm just going to look back at my life and just talk through a couple of things where tenacity worked for me and where it did not, so that we can form an idea whether we should always be tenacious or not. Now, when I went to university, tenacity worked for me because I held on, I did my degree. It wasn't always easy. When we crossed an ocean in a small boat, in a small yacht, we went from Cape Town to the Caribbean, to Trinidad and Tobago. Tenacity worked, man. That really worked then. It worked like a charm because we wanted to give up a lot of times, but tenaciousness kept us going. Now, we ended up chartering in the British Virgin Islands. Again, tenacity. We didn't know anything about chartering, but we were tenacious, so that worked. In corporate life, in my professional career, again, I climbed the corporate ladder because of tenacity. Just hold on. Just get the bit between your teeth and just hold on and go for your dreams and your goals. Tenacity worked. Then, for a long period of time, it was difficult for me to find any employment. I sent out 200 CVs. Now, it ended up that I never really got that employment that I was looking for. In that case, tenacity didn't work that well. But what did it cost me? Well, it cost me that process and probably a week or two of my life. So that's really not a great cost to pay for being tenacious. I'm here to tell you that tenacity won't always work. Sometimes we do find ourselves just on a wrong path, and irrespectively of how hard we try and how our affirmations, we try to make our affirmations work, nothing seems to work then, because the universe might then be giving you signs that you're on the wrong path. And that's when tenacity fails. I want to give you a last example of tenacity. 14 years ago, we gave our car to a mechanic to put in a new engine for us. Then he started playing for time, and there was all kinds of holdups, and I started talking to other suppliers that he was with, and they said, no, he's not paying his bills, and there seemed to be problems. And at that point in time, our car was already there for 2 years. So we went to the South African Ombudsman for motor vehicles. They sent out letters and stuff threatening him. And when nothing happened after 6 months with the Ombudsman, I emailed them and said, well, I'm going to go to the press now because you guys are not doing your jobs. They responded and told me that I now have the right to go to the National Consumer Council, which I then did and had high hopes, and being tenacious, you do what you need to do. So off I went and I lodged my complaint. And another 2 years later, they came back and said, yeah, we really don't know whether we can help you from a civil point of view because we don't know which category to put it into. Which category? I'm not lying, man. That is what they said. Now, anybody would probably then have given up. I mean, our car is like worth 15,000 US dollars. To us, even today, that's a lot of money. Now, I was tenacious and I kept on going. I went to a lawyer and I said, this is my situation. Can you assist me? He said, no, mate, I can't. It's double jeopardy. If they're going to take them to court, then I can't get involved. So, no, we can't help you. Then I spoke to a family member which had a friend that was an ex-colonel in the South African police. And his advice was go and make a criminal case of theft and fraud. Because the question is, how long should you be kept away from your property that you own before it becomes theft? Now, there's different forms of theft and all that legal stuff. Now, here I would love to ask the people that's watching, if you have any legal advice at this point in time, please put it in the comments. I would very, very, very much appreciate that a lot. Now, continuing with the story. I then went to a police station to say, okay, this is now theft and fraud. Let's open a criminal case. The colonel on duty said, no, man, don't do that. I'll go and talk to the guy and give me a week or so and I'll try and sort this out for you. Really don't, there's no need to make a case at this point in time. And I knew my rights. So I went home and we gave it a week. After a week, nothing happened. I went back and I went to the staff sergeant and I said, here I am, now I'm going to make a case. And your colonel is not going to tell me not to. I know my rights. Nobody can withhold me from making a criminal case. And then we proceeded with that. And that was now 6-7 years ago. Since then, where we stayed, where he got the car from, all the documentation went up there. And that's like about 400 kilometers away from where he's got the car. Now, that went to the state attorney and he said, no, this is not a criminal case, it's civil. And then I went to the South African Police Ombudsman. Do you see the tenacity here? I mean, ordinary people probably would have given up a long, long time ago and said, just let me handle this and just let me take the knock. But for me, it became personal. And it's like an invasion. If somebody keeps something like that from you, it's like theft. You feel personally invaded. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. You sit with all these emotions. And I'm not a violent guy. I'm a pacifist. But I tell you, I was telling my wife, I said, if I'm diagnosed with level 4 cancer, I'll probably take that gun and go and sort that guy out. And those kind of thoughts are really, because it is not instigated by me. That's the thing. You need to handle all these negative emotions. But it's not you that's doing that. It is other people that is enforcing that upon you. Now, from a psychological point of view, you need to stop that negative emotions. We've spoken in my videos a lot about that. I just wanted to tell you that it's not always us that's causing the negativity. Back to the story. Now, the SAP ombudsman came back and they said, we believe you do have a case, actually. And that went to the commander of the police station, which was a captain. And that man, I want to personally thank him. He phoned me and he said, I do believe that you do have a case. Can I please come and visit you? I said, by all means, please do so. And we stayed 120 kilometers away from where he was. So he went to all that trouble and came through, and we had a wonderful chat about the situation. And he went back and he said, don't worry about it. I'm going to now send all this documentation through to the Department of Public Prosecutors. So he said, because it's not just you guys, it's going to be a group action, because there's 6 or 7 of you that he's just keeping those cars, and then he wants to charge people storage fees, and then they don't want to pay, and then he sells the vehicle because he says he's got to turn his lien on it and all kinds of stuff. So it was all these games. It eventually ended up with the Department of Public Prosecutors, and like 4 months ago, we were told that, okay, now they have issued a warrant for this guy's arrest, and that they believe he's a flight risk. So eventually the SAP went through to go and arrest this oak. And lo and behold, man, they were told, no, he's in China. And he is. I mean, we had a look at his WhatsApp profile, and he seems to be in China. So 14 years of tenacity hasn't paid off. Maybe it has. What is your opinion? Do you think it's paid off? Do you think that in this life there is really something left like honesty? Or do you believe that, people are just trampled upon and nobody cares? It would be wonderful to hear your reply in the comments. Now, the other odd thing of all of this is when the South African police went through the first time, they said that they spoke to a lot of people and they were asking for him by name, and they phoned me and they said, it was difficult for us because we didn't know how he looked. This is 2025. The South African police told me they do not know how he looks. They do not have a photograph. It took me 2 minutes, and I'm an old man. I'm not computer literate that much. Yes, I can work with the stuff in the social media, like YouTube. I'm making this channel. Now, it took me 2 minutes on Google to send them 4 photographs. I mean, come on, they are the South African police. It's their jobs. Now, you can see my frustration. I'm at a point of just laughing about all of this. Now, I couldn't fathom that at all, man. Now, and they said, no, this guy's now really in China, and that's where we are. Now, his dad said that we can, by all means, come and get our car. Now, do I want a car that's been standing there for 14 years? I mean, what kind of cost am I looking at when I get that vehicle back? Again, technical people, please leave a comment. I'll appreciate that. Now, that is where we are. Now, after 14 years, I don't know whether the tenacity worked. But looking back, as I told you, for me in this life, probably if I consider that tenacity after 14 years will not work in this case, then for me, in my entire life, tenacity has only let me down twice. So take it from an old man. Be tenacious, man. Follow that dream, because you are probably inches away from achieving your goal, and you just don't know it. Here's the thing about this life and the decisions that we take. It's always wonderful to look back and have 2020 vision. But that's not always the case, because we are here and we have only tomorrow. We actually don't. We think we do. But whatever we plan now and the decisions that we reach, we can only reach those decisions with the information that we have at our disposal. That's also why don't ever regret anything in this life. Because if you do regret, look back on that regret and remember that when you were there and the decisions that you then made, you made that with blinkers on. You didn't know the future. You did not know what was going to happen. You did your best, considering what you had to work with. That is why you should not regret, because that decision was the best ones that you could have made given the specific circumstance. So please, live a regret-free life, live a free life, be tenacious, and chase your dream. I'll see you in the next one.